So it's actually happening. It's coming down to the final race. Lewis Hamilton, 36 years old, statistically the greatest of all time, 7-time Formula One world champion, reliable, measured, dominant. Max Verstappen, 23 years old, the future, capable, applied, absolutely rapid. These two have emerged head and shoulders above their teammates this year and the rest of the field. We've waited 9 years to get a proper two-driver from two different team title fight. Not since Vettel versus Alonso in 2012 have we been blessed with this compelling as narrative. And I don't remember 2012 being anywhere near as intense, although maybe that's Twitter's fault. This 2021 season finale will sit amongst our collective consciousness as one of the very best 4 generations to come. Prost Lauda, Mansell Senna, Prost Senna, Schumacher Hakkinen, Alonso Schumacher, Hamilton Massa, Vettel Alonso, Hamilton Verstappen. 22 races over 4 continents, this season has delivered in every way possible. Drama, controversy, shithousery, it's overstepped the mark at times, but it's all been underpinned by some absolute top tier racing. The most points on offer ever, with more races than any other season, plus the fastest lap point, and they still managed to be absolutely bang level at the very end. 369.5 points apiece. You could not write it. All good things must come to an end though, and so this 2021 season meets its conclusion in the dunes of the United Arab Emirates at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. I can't believe we're here. Like, I've talked about how the dream was it to go level on points, and the chances were very unlikely. Like, even last race, the chance of winning a race and getting fastest lap, I felt like it hasn't happened that often this year, but with the circumstances panned out at Saudi Arabia, Lewis got the win and fastest lap, and now we're here, absolutely level on points, Abu Dhabi. What a season it's been. What an insane season it's been, I think, for everyone watching. For me, for you, for everyone. Like, it's just crazy. I do think there is something in the whole two-driver compelling narrative. You look at other sports and, you know, finals always tend to be between two teams. When it's kind of spread, I don't know, it's kind of different. I guess it's like a league title fight versus a Champions League final, I guess, and just having these two going at it from different teams as well. So you've got the team principals involved going at it again. Like, this has felt toxic at times. It's kind of overstepped the mark, but sport can be like that, and we haven't seen this for a very long time. And I think that's also heightens this sense of kind of drama and shock value and overstepping the mark, because we haven't had this for so long. But in other sports, this happens literally every single year. I backed Lewis for most of this year, then I felt the tide change, and then I was like, I think Max is probably going to do it. You know, these last kind of 5 races, most of them have panned out how I thought they would, apart from Brazil, I guess. But, oh, mate, it's just, it comes down to it. Who's going to win? I just don't know. If it was the Abu Dhabi layout from last time we went, I'd be much more confident in Max because of the slow speed, tighter corners, which works worse for a Mercedes because it's long wheelbase and low rake. But, oh man, the swooping corners, I just don't know. I do wonder if Mercedes are going to take another power unit, because we know how much of a positive impact that appeared to have on the performance of that car at Brazil, and taking 5 places. You know, these two are head and shoulders above everyone else, like I said, and, you know, he could afford to possibly take that. Honestly, it's too close to call. Again, I've said this so many times. Like, I want Lewis to get 8 titles, but I would like to see someone else win a title as well. And I think it's one of them where we're conditioned. We look at Twitter, and the posts that get the most traction typically are the ones with the most extreme points of view. And you've got the extreme Verstappen fans, you've got the extreme Hamilton fans, who everything they do is great, and everything the other side does is terrible, which just isn't honest. That is cult behaviour. I'm sorry, that is what a cult is when you just blindly follow the person at the top. And I'm not about that here, and I know most of you lot aren't. I'm always going to try and call things as I see them, and I don't really have a horse in the race between Lewis and Max, so it's easier for me. But for me as well, support is about calling out the bad times as much as celebrating the good ones, because you want your entity, whoever you support, whoever you follow, to do better. Lewis has made some big mistakes, particularly at the start of the season. He's had a fantastic second half of the season. Lewis has been pretty much faultless, but the start of the season, he made some big cock-ups which lost him points. And Max, as much as I think Max has been, in terms of The driving, his consistency has been absolutely top notch. He's been first and second in every single race he's finished, apart from Hungary. But his defence has definitely overstepped a mark numerous times. And, it's not what I think most fans have wanted to see. Do I think there's been actual intent and malice in the incidents where they've come together? No. The brake check this weekend at Saudi is the closest, but I think Max sees Lewis behind and he's not overtaking him. Max is going slower and slower and slower, and Max just gets frustrated and just slows the car down even more, and Lewis goes into the back of him. That's certainly the most kind of consciously malicious move I think we've seen, but I don't know. I'm one who I always try and look on the positive and try and give benefit of the doubt where I can, because I do that with most people in my life. It's easy to assume the worst in people, but actually, when you consider the context of the situation, I don't think that's on the level of when Schumacher, drove into Villeneuve. I think most of their comings together have been born of just desperation to stay in front. When you look at Lewis at Silverstone, I think he was at fault for that one because he just carried a bit too much speed, and I think he just made a mistake, didn't hit the apex. His car was heavy, cold tyres, and it happened. I think at Monza, Max was desperate. I think he did enough that was a bit more 50-50. But then at Brazil, Max was desperate to stay ahead and just went 1,000 metres off the track, and it went as it did, and he was clearly at fault for that one. So it's one of them. There's been loads of instances this year, and I've said it before, I feel like play to the whistle is a term that's used a lot in football, and I think numerous F1 drivers have spoken about it. You look at that clip of 2016 of Verstappen pushing Kimi off, and Kimi's like, oh, if he's not going to get penalised, then I'll start driving like that. These drivers will race more aggressively if they feel like the rules will allow it and they feel that they can get away with it. And it's the job of the rule makers and the FIA to stamp down. That's why it was such a joke to me that they didn't penalise Max for Brazil. The only reason they didn't penalise him for Brazil is because it's the top two fighting. I completely believe that, because they want to preserve the show. But again, you can't not send someone off in the first minute of a Champions League final because it will ruin the game if they go studs up and break someone's leg. But yeah, as much as there's been these instances, there's also been so much good, impressive racing from both drivers throughout the course of the year. And yes, Max has had his fair share of bad luck. If he doesn't get taken out in Hungary, if he doesn't have the tyre blowout in Baku, they're two instances that were completely out of his control. He's probably already won the title by now. But Lewis has turned up at the right time. He's improved his performances since the kind of first half of the season, in my opinion, and he switched it on when he needed to. And Mercedes have delivered as well, because you've got to remember, this is a team sport. It's as much the drivers as it is the engineers, the strategists, everyone who works behind the scene. It is a team sport. We have to remember this. We know what's going to happen, whoever wins. If Lewis wins the title, then the extreme Max fans will just be like, oh, he just got lucky, Max should have won. And then if Max wins the title, the extreme Lewis fans will just be like, oh, Max is a dirty driver, blah, blah, blah. And I get it, you want your driver to do well, right? But wherever you sit, just please, this is history being written. This weekend, this whole season will go down for generations to come as one of the greatest of all time. There's absolutely no question. This is 100% on a par with Senna Prost. Easy. So just make sure, don't get caught up arguing with people on Twitter, people you'll never meet in your life. Just names on a screen that use a keyboard like everyone else does, right? Don't get caught up in that. Just enjoy it. Just enjoy it. Take it in. Even if your favourite driver loses, just try and appreciate the moment. Because, again, for me, I've got my drivers I follow, right? I love Alex. I love Esteban. I love Daniel. There's drivers that I pull for. But ultimately, my main priority, if my main priority was the drivers that I love, then I wouldn't have watched this season, because Alex isn't even racing. My main priority is the sport. I love F1. I love the show. This is what has hooked me since I was a kid, and I'm sure many of you will feel exactly the same. It's so easy to get caught up in the tribal nature of sports support, but don't let it take away from remembering this Sunday how it goes down, because whoever wins, it's been one hell of a ride, and hopefully it's all kept clean. We know if both drivers DNF, that Max will win the title because he's got more wins. I don't think that will happen. I can't see Max maliciously driving into Lewis, because if that happens, he'll just get disqualified from the championship and Lewis will win it anyway. Could I see a desperate move? I could see a desperate move happening. A malicious move, no. I think they're two very different things. The only other way they finish level on points is if one finishes P10 with fastest lap and the other finishes P9, which is, again, incredibly unlikely because then they'll both score 2 points. Other than that, it's whoever finishes ahead of the other. And I tell you what, the second drivers as well, I think really need to step up. I am more concerned. Honestly, if I had to put money on it right now, I'm saying Lewis wins it. That Mercedes seems to have picked up some performance towards the end of the year. They've obviously, worked out a system that works. I think this Abu Dhabi track suits the Mercedes more than it used to in its old format. And also, I think Bottas has been qualifying consistently much closer to Lewis than Sergio has. If you look at Valtteri's average qualifying position, it is significantly higher than Sergio's. And having a second driver up there will play a significant role. We need Sergio Perez. I pray Sergio can qualify P4 or higher to back up Max, because I want those four to check out at the front and then to be some madness on the strategy. Honestly, Saudi wasn't a race I think we can be particularly proud of. Yes, it was dramatic. Yes, there was, in terms of the entertainment value, it was high, but not enough of that was done on track, and there was too much shenanigans and nonsense, and I think Michael Massey kind of lost control of that race, to be honest. But yeah, I want Bottas, I want Perez up there helping out their teammates, and whoever wins, I want it to be done fairly on track. I'm not interested in any of this, pushing people off and crashing people into a wall and any of that nonsense, right? And this has been an amazing way to sign off the turbo hybrid era. I know Lewis has dominated pretty much the whole thing, but, it's come to this conclusion. It's got very close. Again, two different drivers from different teams. We hoped this was what was going to happen in 2018 with Vettel and Hamilton, and unfortunately Vettel's challenge fell away towards the end. But this is it. This has everything. We're in for one hell of a ride. I'm going to be streaming qualifying as I usually do. I'll do a race preview tomorrow, and I will be streaming the race as well, because of course I will. I can't not stream this race. This is going to go down in history, this one. So if you can, come along, watch with me, whether you can watch the race or can't, and find a way to sync up your feed to mine, maybe, we'll see. But yeah, if you want to come around Sunday, I'll see you then. Enjoy it, stay hydrated, and I'll see you tomorrow for the race preview. My name has been Tommo, as it typically is. Thanks again. Have a good one. Ta-da.